Okay, good morning everyone, and thank you for joining us and not leaving me with an open room to talk to or an empty room to talk to. So I'm Michelle Dorgan, I'm Head of Marcoms at Women in Football. Would like to talk you through a few different things with regards to the state of the nation, really, when it comes to women in football. So we've recently completed a survey, it's the third one we've completed. We've recently started a campaign, the Open Doors campaign, which Tara just mentioned. I'm going to give you a few highlights about that and hopefully stick to time. I'm also going to have a couple of call to actions in here, so please have your phones ready. I am Marcoms, there are going to be QR codes that feature. I hope to see you actually clicking on them. So, women in football, who are we first of all? We have a membership of around 8,000 people. That is not just women. A lot of people hear women in football, they think either you have to be female to join us, or we're all about women's football. Two mistakes. Our membership includes females who work or volunteer in the industry and the sport, also male and non-binary allies, and actually most of our members work in the men's game. There's more jobs in the men's game. So now what's fortunate is that actually the women's game has been professionalised. There are more jobs in the women's game. So we are getting more women working in both the women's game as well as the men's. In terms of what we do, we are all, well, I'll come on to that. Actually, just to go back, there's two QR codes there, just to clarify. We are all about our members, but it's not just individual members. We also have a corporate membership programme. The corporate membership programme is all about us engaging with organisations involved in football who want to do more to show their support for gender equality in the game. So if you want to know more about either of those, please click on the relevant QR code. So, what do we do? First of all, we celebrate achievement. So, I hope most of you will recognise Emma Hayes there. She has been a huge success for the women's game, but also for women in football. Our job at Women in Football is to make sure that people appreciate just how valuable, important, and what a key role women play within the game. We also challenge discrimination. Unfortunately, that's quite a big part of what we seem to be doing. We've all seen it, you've all been online, you've all seen all the issues that we always face, how many comments get made to pundits, female pundits, what are you doing talking about men's football, you don't know what you're doing, even though these women have won World Cups and the men haven't, who are talking about it. We also challenge discrimination across the board, so it's about challenging those ideas that women don't know football. We know football. I know football. Yes, I know the offside rule. I'm guessing quite a few of you do too. The third thing we do is we share expertise and knowledge. So we have a phenomenal membership. Our board, if you look at our board, it's insane. We also have a fantastic CEO who is sitting right there, who happens to chair this event today. So we're very fortunate. We have some amazing people within our network. All of those women and allies want to share their knowledge and expertise. They are committed to driving gender equality forward in the game. We're very fortunate to have access to those people, and we want to share it. I mentioned the survey. I joined Women in Football in 2008 when I worked at the Alumni League Managers Association. 3 years ago, I joined as a member of the team, and it's been insane. When I joined, there were 5 members of staff, we were all part-time. Now we have 9 members of staff, we have a full-time CEO, our first full-time CEO, and we have 9 members of staff who are almost all full-time. Things are going a bit crazy for us, as everyone will agree to. But what we have been doing consistently throughout the time is running surveys. We've run one in 2016, one in 2020, and another this year. So we have that data, which Tara's talked about. It's important. We want to know, what is football like for our members? What are the challenges they face? What are the positives? What are their expectations for working in football? This is a bit of a busy infographic. Marcoms love infographics. There's lots of data on there. Again, we can go through this a lot. You can read it at your leisure online. We do have it shared on our website as well. But a couple of we're going to go through a few of the positives in a moment in terms of the football industry and the outlook. But in terms of the negatives or the challenges, the discrimination element that I touched on, 82% of women in football have experienced discrimination in the workplace. How crazy is that? Unfortunately, it's not the worst of it, it's gone up. You'd think over time things are better now, But actually in our 2020 survey, it was 66%. And we thought that was bad. That was our highlight for our surveys. Our highlight, the main thing we talked about, the media headline, when we talked about our survey results in 2020. Now it's 82%. What else have we got? 62% of female WIF members have experienced sexist banter or jokes in the football workplace. I've actually just been having a conversation with someone here who was, don't think they're in the room, talking about a potential event that I thought could work with us. Haven't told Yvonne about this yet. And they asked about a fantastic player and said how great they were. And they made a comment just like that. And it's funny because even though I do this, I laughed and I went, you really can't say that to me. But I still laughed. And then went, what am I doing? This is what we tell everyone not to do. But I did it. Because it's automatic. As a woman in football, you can't help yourself. You get used to it. You naturally roll with it and you just accept it. I've also got 2 older brothers, grew up surrounded by guys. If I took offence easily, I wouldn't get to play football as a kid because I couldn't with anyone other than the lads on the playground. So it's part of what we do, but what we're trying to do now is challenge that discrimination and make those allies, those male allies, stand up for us so women don't have to do it on their own. What else? Another one, 93% have faced an obstacle in their football career because of their gender. How many men could say that? Interestingly, there is a current, I was at Leaders last week, a few of us were, and the former MD of Sky Sports, I think it's MD, former MD of Sky Sports, talked about the fact that male pundits are now getting a bit nervous and they're getting a bit scared because female pundits are taking their jobs. What a shame. Anyway, there are lots of different stats on there, I'll move on, but that gives you a bit of a taster for what's going on. So in terms of the football industry, what is it like being a woman in football? Well, 75% of respondents to our survey believed conscious or unconscious bias is the biggest challenge facing women in football today. Probably not a surprise. We all hear about the unconscious bias workshops that everyone's delivering. But 80% think conscious bias is the biggest issue. See, people have been hiding it and they've been saying it's not an issue. But actually, there's so much bias that goes on. And that's what we need to change. That's what we need to challenge, but that's what women in football are up against. 45%, so almost half of all women working in football believe they've been overlooked for career progression, which I mentioned at the start. Again, it's just crazy to think that this is still the case in the current day and age. 89% of respondents said they were optimistic about the prospects for women in the football industry. We have some good news. That's brilliant. Things are changing. As much as discrimination is going up, actually, there's a lot more allies. There's a lot more conversations about this. People are talking about the need to change things. This is a 42% increase on 2016, which is great. Really, really good news, and that's what we want to hear. Women are feeling more positive about working in football. I remember back in 2008 when I joined Women in Football, I worked at the LMA as I mentioned, the average, the usual, the norm was we attended our LMA events, which were huge events, 300, 400, 500 people in the room, 2 hands, maximum number of women that were in that room. The great thing was there was no queue for the women's toilets. Nowadays that's not the case, and actually I'm quite happy about that. So 67% of women believe football is a sector where women can excel. And we do. We know. It's not that we believe it. We at Women in Football, we know women can excel in this sector. But one of the challenges a lot of women face is they will often lack confidence. They will question themselves. Are they good enough? We've all heard the stats of how, you know, a woman will look at a job application and say, oh, I can't tick 95% of that criteria, I'm not going to apply. A man will say, I can tick 45%. How? Submit my application. We know this. So there's work to do to get more women applying for these positions. But we know the skill sets, the knowledge, the expertise is there. And again, the positive is it's up. Okay, it was 45% last time. So things are improving. However, only 27% of women say they are encouraged to forge pathways to the highest positions in football. So even those women who work in the game, they're not getting those board level positions, those leadership, senior leadership team positions. We want to change that. That's something I hope all of you will help work towards. If you're female, apply for the roles. do it. You can do it. If you're male or non-binary and you work in those positions, encourage those females to apply. Again, while this is disappointingly low, in 2020 only 14% felt this to be the case. So again, it's an improvement. So, football must change. Starting at the top, support the Open Doors agenda for gender equality. This is our latest campaign. It came about following the World Cup, which I'm guessing a few of you saw. So, you all know, sadly it wasn't the outcome we wanted for the INSs. However, Spain should have been the best moment of their footballing careers for those women. And it ended with a little bit different of an outcome. Okay? We all saw Rubiales decide that it's okay to take a hold of a World Cup winning player's face and kiss them full on the lips. Why wouldn't he? It's fine. We're friends. It's accepted. Would he have done that to a male Spanish player? No. We all know that. Okay? But then he made it worse because not only did he do it, he tried to make excuses and he refused to step down. And it went on. And it went on. Gave us lots of media coverage. So I guess there are some positives. It allowed us to get the message out there of how unacceptable it is. And other people started to realise, actually, things might be improving in England, in the UK, which they are. In other countries, that's not the case, even in countries like Spain, which again is crazy. But off the back of this, off the back of FIFA's president saying that the doors were open and that us women just have to tell the men what to do, well, we're ready to walk through those doors. We've been knocking on them for many, many years. Now, we're ready. Well, we've always been ready, to be fair, but hopefully men in football are too. So, we set up the Open Doors agenda off the back of it. There's 6 key calls that we put, call to actions that we've asked for. We are asking for football's governing bodies to do 6 things. I would really appreciate your support in raising awareness of this if you agree with it. The first, a minimum of 30% work women on senior decision-making bodies. We know diverse boards, diverse leadership teams, they perform better. We know it. The research is there, the data is there. Why isn't it happening in football? We can look at Premier League teams, Championship League teams, look at their boards, if you can find the data. Not easy. But if you can find it, we can see they're not diverse. They certainly aren't gender diverse, and they're not ethnically diverse. That needs to change. Senior decision-making bodies to include independent non-exec members. Let's get rid of this, he knows him, bring him in, he's good. We don't need that anymore. We need diversity of thought. So let's change the way things have been working and let's make sure we get non-exec members coming on board, okay? Senior decision makers to be recruited by transparent processes to serve fixed terms of office. Again, don't just say, oh, I know him, he'll be great, it will work. We have to change this. Football is a business. Let's start running it like one. As much as we know, in some ways it is, but in other ways, we want the positives of running a business. Policies and sanctions against discrimination, abuse, inappropriate physical contact, and sexual harassment. Again, we go back to Rubiales. Let's change this. This should not happen anywhere. Certainly shouldn't happen within a work environment, which it is. Clear pathways for reporting and dealing with violations. One of the other stats that was on the first slide, the infographic, only 23% of women who experienced these instances of discrimination actually reported it. The reason they didn't? They don't think anything's going to happen, and often it doesn't. That actually was the most frequent outcome. When we said, when you reported it, what happened? Nothing. That's why women aren't actually reporting it. That needs to change, so we need to put these pathways in place. Fit for purpose, safeguarding and duty of care policies and responsibilities, ensuring that players' voices are heard. Some of you may have heard about what's happened recently with the Jamaica women's national team. They have released a statement saying that they don't want to do it, but actually they are stepping down from playing from their country. They don't want to do it, but they feel that they haven't got a choice because their voices have not been heard. They have been calling for more support. The Jamaican Football Federation is not doing it. They've not received their fees for playing in the World Cup, which they did phenomenally well at. They got out of a group that no one thought they would. They're not getting that support. That has to change. So again, football must change, starting at the top. That QR code is for you guys to click on and sign your name. None of you are getting your phones out. This is not working. Right, we've got 3 more at the end, but I'm going to give you a second. Get your phone out, please. Sign up, right? It's a QR code. It's easy. You scan it, you put your name to it. It's really straightforward. And I'm not moving on until I see a few more phones. Come on. Okay, so the idea of this is, hopefully everyone in this room, you believe in gender equality, you believe in diversity, and obviously, as sports people, I say obviously, hopefully, you are passionate about sports participation. Therefore, we want to change this. We're about football. It's the same across all sports. So, how are WIF driving change? That's the only problem with the phone when it goes off when you've set the timer on. So, how are WIF driving change? And how can you get involved, more importantly? Another infographic. So, I won't go through all of it, but there's lots of things we're doing at Women in Football. All of them are fantastic because they involve driving change, and that's what we're about. So, during the Women's Euros, we were very fortunate. We got 2 new partners on board in Heineken and PepsiCo. Through their support, we were able to deliver 45 coaching bursaries to women in football who were involved in coaching football at grassroots, but actually they never got chosen by their club to do the course, the coaching course, because it went to the men. So let's change that. And we did, which is brilliant. Some of those are now going on. They're now even more passionate and they're going on to further their qualifications, their coaching qualifications. We also did a mentoring program and 96 women. Actually, one guy made it through. It was meant to be for women. One guy randomly made it through. And these women and this guy were mentored by experts, professionals from within the field. We also have our annual Be Inspired conference, which is phenomenal. We get 300 women in a room, actually, and some male and non-binary allies, and they get to listen to experts. That networking opportunity is driving real change. And we host leadership courses, which is trying to deliver those female future leaders within the game. So, again, it's got to change. We're trying to work towards that. What are you doing? We launched a campaign 2 years ago now. We're actually on our 2nd anniversary. It's called #GetOnside. Love a good hashtag. What we want to do is really drive engagement, and it's worked. So what's happened is we've got individuals and organisations making pledges to say what they are going to do to drive change in the football industry. And we have had 237, notes needed yet, 237 Get-On-Side pledges. This has come from individuals and organisations, whether it's mentoring, whether it's free places at events. That side of it works really well as well because it enables to drive that knowledge and that expertise, that sharing, and get to women to events that maybe they weren't able to make it to before. So lots and lots of pledges. Are you guys on there? We have 237 of them. There's a list on our website. If your organisation hasn't yet made a pledge and you're involved in football, come to our website, look at the pledges, get an idea, and get in touch with us. We want more pledges. We want to drive real change. We don't want pledges saying we are going to continue doing this. This is about driving change. We want something new. So, I'm actually ahead of schedule, I think. You are. I am. I should slow down. So, these 3 here, 3 more QR codes. Take your pick. Corporate membership, individual membership, and the Get On Side campaign. These are all about trying to make a real difference for women in the game. And again, I hope you all feel the same about that. I naturally hope the females in the room will feel that way, but it's also really important to us to have male allies and non-binary allies. We can't change the game without allies, and that is the same across all sport. So please, get involved. And the last one, just like to end with this. This was my first week on the job, and I came to Women in Football before Yvonne joined us with our former CEO, Jane Purden, and I was handed our new brand. And I was told, we're launching it in 3 weeks. Good luck. So I had to turn around a brand launch campaign in 3 weeks. Fortunately, I had another new colleague who joined me, and we did. But what we did was, I remember being in a board meeting that first week, and we were looking at it, and one of our board members, Lisa Parfit, said, we're just missing that hero image, aren't we? And this isn't the hero image, that was the opening slide. And we were like, yeah, we are. And I've been trying to go through, we're a not-for-profit, so I'm trying to go through all of our images and find what I can. We've got nothing. And Lisa went, wouldn't it be great if we could get our new brand, our new logo on Wembley? I'm sitting there 3 days in going, in a board meeting, going, well, yeah, quietly to myself, obviously. And that was the Wednesday. On the Friday, I was talking to the stadium manager of Wembley, Liam. And on the Monday, I was there shooting it and getting the first slide that you saw with women in football there. That was a pretty intense first week, but that shows it's who you know. And within the men's game, that's easy for men. For women working in football, we don't have, or traditionally women haven't had those networks. We did. What I didn't know at that point was that Kelly Simmons from the FA was joining us as a board member 2 weeks later. So it does help to have the right contacts, but it also helps to have the right people with passion and commitment to really drive change. And just being able to have those connections to Wembley, it helps drive partners to get involved and so forth. So again, I'll end with the QR codes in case you missed them. Thank you very much.